Hey guys, it's me, Miss Mills, and the whole point of this video is to help you with comparing and ordering real numbers. This is going to help you with the comparing and ordering real numbers Google form that I will give to you on Monday. Guys, that form is it's going to be pretty difficult. Comparing and ordering real numbers is taking everything that we have learned the past 3 weeks and putting it into one big lesson. So I do need y'all to pay very close attention on this video. Pause when you need to. And guys, this video is going to help you very much with the Google form. In fact, I might pull examples from the Google form and use it in this video. So if you have the Google form open, I would do that so you can fill it out as we go along. So guys, let's go ahead and get started. So first thing we need to go over is comparing symbols. The symbols you need to really know are these symbols right here. Let's go ahead and do this. Okay. You have to be able to read these symbols correctly. This symbol on the left is going to be less than. Sorry about my chicken scratch. Let's try that again. That looks awful. Let's try that again. That looks awful. Let's try less than. Okay. So whenever you read this, you would read it as 4 is less than 5, okay? So just be careful how you read this. The one on the right is going to be greater than. So if you saw this bad boy in there, you would read it as 5 is greater than 4. So whenever you see these, just remember to read them correctly in the problem. If you add a line under both of these, they turn into, this one on the left turns into less than and equal to. On the right, that turns into greater than and equal to. We probably won't use that a lot today, but on the Google form, I did ask what did that mean, just because I want to make sure that y'all are watching the videos like y'all are supposed to and make sure that you answer that correctly. All right, guys, let's go to now ordering. All right, so the first one we want to focus on is least to greatest. So if you see a problem and it says order these set of numbers from least to greatest, that would be the same thing as ordering it from smallest to largest number. Other keywords or phrases that you can use with least to greatest would be ascending. So if you see ascending, that means least to greatest, okay? Increasing. So that's another example, increasing. And then one more that we can use would be minimum to maximum, okay? So again, least to greatest means smallest to largest. And these are all the different types of words that can be used in word problems. And I just want y'all to know what that means, okay? So if we have least to greatest, let's move on to greatest to least. And what type of words you can see that goes along with that. To least. All right, so words that would go with greatest to least in a word problem, one of them would be descending. So when you're ordering the numbers, when it says greatest to least, you're ordering it from the biggest number all the way to the smallest number value. Another example would be decreasing. Sorry guys, it's really hard to draw on this. And then last one we can use for this is going to be maximum to minimum. Okay, so again, biggest number to smallest number. Okay, so whenever you are comparing and ordering real numbers, you have to convert. I'm going to be honest. That's like the easiest way to do it is to take a number, take all the numbers, and make sure they are in the same form. The 3 different forms it can be in it can be in a fraction form. It can be in a decimal form. And it can be in a percent form. Guys, I've already made a video reminding you how to change fractions to decimals, decimal to fractions, and take a decimal to a percent, and then a percent to a decimal. I have that video up on YouTube. If you forget how to do this, you can watch that video also on the Google form. I have a link to that video in the Google form as well. I'm only going to do really one example of changing forms of fraction to decimal and then decimal to percent, etc. I'll do one example on here, but if you need more examples, make sure to check out that other video. So let's start with something pretty simple. Let's start with, how about, let's start with 4/10. Okay, so we have a decimal. First off, if you have a decimal, it's really, really easy to go ahead and change that decimal into a percentage, because to change a decimal to percent, you just have to take the decimal and move it to the right 2 times. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So we move it to the right 2 times. We're going to add that 0, and then we're going to add the percentage sign, okay? So now we have both the decimal and we have the percent, okay? We have the percentage and we have the decimal. To change the decimal to a fraction, you just have to make sure that you read it correctly. Again, this is 4/10. Oh, sorry. This is 4/10. That is the value. 4/10 can be translated into 4/10. That would be your fraction version. Once you have it into this form, you can reduce 4/10 to both even numbers. You can divide both by 2. So that's going to turn into 2/5. So now, guys, we have our percentage value, we have our decimal value, which is 4/10, and then we have our fraction value. Guys, if you need more help with converting, remember to check out that other video, but I'm going to move on with this one. So I'm going to do some examples of comparing real numbers, and then after that we are going to do one example of ordering real numbers. So let's go ahead and get into comparing them. So the first 2 numbers I have right here is -7/8. And then we have a little box. And then on the other side, we have -0.5. Okay, so we have a -0.5. I'm going to move this up here. And guys, this little box, what you're going to put in that box is either greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. And those symbols I did at the very beginning of this video. So the first step is to get them into similar forms. On this particular one, I recommend turning both of them into decimals. And honestly, guys, I recommend turning all of them to decimal forms, because once they're in decimals, it's a lot easier to figure out, well, which one's bigger than the other one. Fractions are a little bit harder, and percents are fine, but I would always recommend turning them to decimals. We already have one decimal form, so we really only have to do it to one of them. So let's do it to this one real quick. So this is also can be read as 7 divided by 8. So 7 is going to be in our doghouse. 7 is going to be in our doghouse, and then 8 is going to be knocking on its door. So 8 is too big to go into 7, so we have to add this decimal and bring it to the top, and we got to add this 0. 8, however, goes into 70 8 times. 8 times 8 is going to be 64. Once we have this, we can subtract. 70 to minus 64 is going to be 6. We still have a remainder, so we need to keep going. Yeah. So we can add that 0, bring it down. So now we have 8 times 60. 8 goes into 60 7 times. 7 times 8 is going to be 56. So if we subtract that, the answer is going to be 4. Let's move it up here. The answer is going to be 4. 4 is still a remainder, so we need to add another 0 and bring it to this side. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. And that is going to be our answer, because now we have a remainder of 0. So let's bring this back real quick. Let's just erase this, all this. And let's focus on the decimal number that we just created. So this is now going to be negative 875 thousandths. Again, be careful with negative numbers, because even though 875 thousandths is bigger than 5/10, since it's a negative number, it is a lesser value. So how we would put this is we are going to put negative 875,000 is going to be less than negative 5/10. So negative 7 over 8 is going to be less than negative 5/10. Okay, let's do one more of these. Okay, I don't want to make this video too long, so let's do this. Let's do the square root, or let's do pi squared. We're going to make our little box here, and then we're going to have the square root of 50. Guys, again, remember the square root of 50, that is not a perfect square, so we are going to have to estimate it. But what I want to do is I want to turn both of these into decimal numbers, because once they're in decimal numbers, it's easier to figure out which one's bigger than the other one. So let's do the square root of 50 first. Let's just go ahead and do that one. We do have to estimate it. So again, guys, first step of estimating is we're going to make a handy dandy little line. We're going to put 2 notches on both sides, and we got to find out which 2 perfect squares is the square root of 50 going to be in between. Well, one it's in between is going to be the square root of 49. The square root of 49 is going to be 7. Okay. And then the next one is going to be the square root of 64, and that is going to be 8. Once you have 7 and 8 on there, we can go ahead and put 7.5 in the middle to help you out. But our next step is to figure out, well, which 2 perfect squares is it so much closer to? Well, in this particular case, the square root of 50 is going to be closer to the square root of 49. Guys, a good estimate for the square root of 50 would be about approximately equal to, I would say, 7.1. Okay, so our decimal number for that is going to be around 7.1. Let's multiply 3.14 times 3.14. Well, we don't even have to do that. The whole number that goes with pi is going to be 3. So if we multiply 3 times 3, we can go ahead and put the decimal, or we can go ahead and put, 3 times 3 is going to be 9. And then it'd be a decimal number that went on forever. But the whole number is going to be 9. 9 is bigger than 7, so the pi squared is going to be greater than, remember on those symbols, it's going to be greater than the square root of 50. Okay, guys, we have a few more examples on this on your Google form. I want you to try it yourself, and I know y'all got this. But let's do one where I give you all of the numbers, and we are going to put them in the correct order. Let's go ahead and do this real quick. Here are your numbers. We have 5 and 1/2. We have the square root of 26. We have 5 and 8/10. And then we have 31 over 5. Okay. First step again is to put all of these into decimals. We are going to put them in ascending order. So we're going to do it from least to greatest. And then we are going to put them back in their original form. Let's start with 5 and 1/2. 5 and 1/2 is going to be 5.5. Guys, you can do division on this one, but if you see 1/2, the decimal is always going to be 5/10. Okay. But the next one is the square root of 26. Square root of 26 is not a perfect square. So what we have to do is we have to make our handy dandy line. We have to do the 2 notches again. Figure out what 2 perfect squares is the square root of 26 in between. Well, one perfect square in between is the square root of 25, which is 5. And then the other one has to be 6, which is the square root of 36. Guys, the square root of 26 is a lot closer to the square root of 25. I would say it's about right here. So a good estimate would be about 5.1, again, for that example. Guys, I'm going to erase this line real quick, and let's keep going. Okay, let me move my box. Guys, 5 and 8/10 is already in decimal form, so we don't have to worry about that. And then we have 31 over 5. We need to go ahead and turn this into a decimal. So this is going to be 31 divided by 5. So 31 is going to go in our doghouse, and 5 is going to be knocking on the door. 5 goes into 31. It goes into there 6 times. 6 times 5 is going to be 30. If we subtract 31 by 30, our answer is going to be 1. We have to keep going, so we need to add this little decimal, bring that to the top, expand this, add a 0, bring the 0 down. So 5 goes into 10 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. So that is going to be it for us. That is going to be the remainder. So guys, 31 over 5 is going to equal 6 and 2/10. So guys, now that we have them all into decimal form, we can put them in the correct order. Again, in this particular case, we're putting them in ascending order from least to greatest. So let's go ahead and do this. The smallest number is going to be 5 and 1/10, which is actually going to be the square root of 26. Let's actually rewrite it in its form, square root of 26. So we can now mark that one out. The next smallest one is going to be 5 and 5/10. That's going to be 5 and 1/2. You can go ahead and mark that out. The next one is going to be 5 and 8/10. We don't have to change that for any reason because it's already in decimal form. And then the very last one is going to be 6 and 2/10. Again, that is going to be 31 over 5. And guys, that is going to be your answer. Guys, I know this video is a lot, but remember to watch it, rewatch it if you need to, pause where you need to, and keep practicing. And I know y'all are going to get this. If you need any help, don't forget you can contact me and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I love you guys, and remember, it is a beautiful day. See you guys.